seconds to go. Munchie has it spotted at the 23, a 33-yard attempt for Bergner for the win. The snap, the kick on the way, it's on the way, and it is yes! Coyotes win! Coyotes win! A 33-yard field goal by Miles Bergner with no time remaining.
Oh my goodness.
And the Coyotes have beaten the Bison in Fargo for the first time since 1978.
It's a fabulous win. I'm honestly more happy for our team than I am for myself, and more happy for my coaches. I'm real happy too, but this, can't tell you how good I feel about it for them.
South Dakota scores the upset of the year in FCS football, taking down the four-time defending national champs in dramatic fashion. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Kyle Corner. Well, there were a number of reasons to doubt South Dakota on Saturday. For starters, the Coyotes were coming off a pair of lopsided losses in conference play. They'd also been outscored 143-7 in the previous three meetings with North Dakota State. They hadn't won in Fargo since 1978. And last but not least, the Bison, who came in ranked second in the country, were riding a 26-game home winning streak. Not exactly a favorable formula for an upset. But here's the thing. The guys who had to believe, the players and coaches in that locker room, did. And it propelled them to arguably the biggest win in program history. Let's take you through it. 18,420 on hand at the Fargo Dome, where the Bison hadn't lost since October 13th, 2012. And it looked early like they were well on their way to a 27th straight home win. Carson Wentz to Darius Shepard, 37 yards for the touchdown, 14-0 Bison after one. Momentum started to change hands in the second. Ryan Sager led the way. He breaks loose in the quarterback draw, 37 yards to the NDSU 40. That run a career long for Sager. 6 plays later, he caps off the drive with his arm. 8-yard toss to Brant Van Rukel, his second touchdown in as many weeks, and it's 14-7. Next possession, the Coyotes show a little creativity. Sager, the jump pass to Trevor Bama, and he's got some help. Bama finally taken down inside the 10-yard line, but not before he picks up 73 yards, which was also a career long. And would set up this. Sager on the QB keeper. First rushing touchdown of the year for him, and it ties the game at 14. North Dakota State would answer just before the half. Wentz with his second touchdown pass of the day. This one to Andrew Bonnet. Bison up 7 at the break. Third quarter now. The Coyote defense starts to swarm. Andrew Van Ginkel drops Wentz for his league-leading 6th sack of the year. One of his 7 tackles on the day. Fast forward to the fourth. NDSU looking to add to its lead, but Cam Peterson pushes the 40-yard field goal attempt wide right. So it's still 21-14 Bison, but not for long. Coyotes take over at their own 28-yard line, and Sager leads them right down the field for the game-tying score. He finds his fullback, Drew Potter, for an 8-yard touchdown, and it's 21-all with 4:47 to go. After the defense forces a 3-and-out, Sager and company get one last chance, and a big play here. Sager gets sacked, but NDSU's Nate Tangway flagged for ripping off his helmet, so instead of losing yards, the Coyotes gain 15 and a first down. And on the very next snap, Bama finds some room off the left side. He takes them into field goal range with a 14-yard pickup. Bama carried 20 times for 94 yards on the day. The Yotes would move it a little closer to set up Miles Bergner for a 33-yard field goal attempt. He'd missed from 47 earlier in the day, but this one was right down the middle. South Dakota rallies from 14-0 down to upset the second-ranked Bison 24-21 for their first win in Fargo since 1978. And not only does it snap North Dakota State's MVFC record 26-game home winning streak, but it also brings an end to the Coyotes' 14-game conference losing streak. Ryan Sager was outstanding, accounting for 292 yards of total offense and all 3 touchdowns, an effort that would earn him the nod as the Valley's Offensive Player of the Week. Bergner is the Special Teams Player of the Week after hitting the game winner, but also in part for averaging a career-best 49 yards on 4 punts, but as great as those individual efforts were, this one was all about the team.
That's a program-changing win for those guys, and we allowed it to happen in our place, and I credit Coach Glenn. Well, what a magnificent job. Their players played their tails off. They beat us, bottom line.
We just said going into the game, let's just go have fun, honestly. That's what everyone was saying in the locker room. And the thing that coaches stressed was getting the game into the fourth quarter and then just seeing what happened. And that's exactly what we did.
It's just everybody executing, doing their job, each individual person on the field doing their job and executing it to the best of their ability. That's really what it came down to. It's a game of momentum. We had the momentum and we kept it, and that was important to do.
I don't think we won this game today. We won on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all the days leading up to this game. We knew in our hearts all week that we were going to come in and play as hard as we could and live with the results.
It's huge. I don't know if you can say anything else about it. But we're going to be hungry for more, and we'll celebrate tonight and enjoy the moment. But it's back to work next week for sure.
All right, stay tuned. We've shown you the highlights. Now it's time to relive the win over the Bison through the eyes of the head coach. Joe Glenn joins us next.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to Coyote Corner. Jay Elson joined now down at the Dakota Dome by head coach of the Coyotes, Joe Glenn. And Joe, here we are, a couple days removed from what was a pretty special day for your football program on Saturday. Has it sunk in yet what you guys were able to accomplish in Fargo?
Well, I think it has sunk in and gone. You got to move on to the next one, but we do all these things on Monday, and so we get to go back through it a little bit, and I don't mind it.
I bet you don't. Let's take a look at how this all played out on Saturday. You were down at 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. Instead, you go into halftime. It's 21-14. What was the message that you sent to the guys at the half?
Believe. This is not an accident. They're playing well. Our kids playing well. We got into it. It was sad we gave up that touchdown right at the end of the half, but we knew we could play with them. I think that was the feeling. And just believe in what you're doing, believe in your coaches, and let's see if we can just hang with these guys and pull it out.
Well, it certainly looked like the defense believed. They forced a 3-and-out out of the halftime. And I thought that really set the tone for the rest of the game for them and for the whole team, really. They never let the Bison get into any kind of rhythm offensively, Joe. And a big part of that was their play on third down. NDSU 5 of 8 on third down in the first half, just 2 of 7 the rest of the way. How were you able to keep that high-powered offense in check?
Well, we had the ball a lot in the second half. That helps when your defense is on the pine. And that helped, but our defense just came out determined. We tackled. We were lower in the front, didn't get pushed off the ball. We held up in the pass. We had some really good individual plays by nearly everybody in the secondary. So it was a team effort. It sure was. And all throughout the game, I thought Miles Bergner had a good night punting the football. I think he averaged 49 yards a punt. Helped change field position the second half.
Sure.
No, everybody chipped in and did their part, offense, defense, and special teams.
The defense doing what they did bought the offense some time. I mean, you're still down 21-14 going into the fourth quarter and early into that final frame. Ryan Sager, though, leads the team on a 15-play drive that ultimately ends in the game-tying touchdown with 4:47 to go. Sager converted on 3 third downs on the way to the end zone. How about the poise of your quarterback?
Yeah, he was the difference maker in this game. He really did a great job. Led the team, as a leader. You could see he was the guy out in front of us. And I thought Wesley Boucharner called a great game. I thought Jason Petrino called a great game. We ran some quarterback runs that were very, very successful in short yardage situations, and Ryan executed to perfection.
So we saw it 21-21 at that point, but we'd seen NDSU be in this position before, including their previous game against UNI, where they'd been able to march down the field late and get a score to pull out a win. Well, they had plenty of time to make something happen, but instead your defense steps up, forces its 5th 3-and-out of the day. So the offense gets it back with a chance to go down, win the game. They started at their own 29 with 3:20 on the clock, and they march it right down the field. They put up Miles Bergner in position to kick a 33-yard field goal to win it, and he hits the big one. Now, Miles has had his struggles this season, I know, but you had to feel awfully good for him to step up in that situation and convert.
Yeah, Miles, pressure guy, and I knew he'd make it. There's something in me. I work with him every day. I chart him. I don't really coach kickers. I chart them. I time them. I make sure that they're there on time. I think it's like shooting free throws. The more you kick, the more you shoot, the better you get. And I just had my money on Miles. I knew he'd make the kick.
So he hits the kick. Pandemonium ensues. Can you describe the emotions that you and your team were feeling at that particular time?
I kind of laugh a little bit. We took time out with 3 seconds. I was hoping that was enough time. They couldn't come back on us. I watched them come back on about everybody. And but anyway, yeah, it was just a Kodak moment for the Coyotes. I think they had, what, 26 in a row at home, 4 years. But, you know, somebody had to do it. The time had come. We were close. We played, I thought, brilliant football. When it was over, I was kind of numb. It was a great finish, though. I was real happy for our coaches and our kids. As you look at it now, how big is this win? How big can it be? Well, I hope it's a catapult. You know, I hope that this gives our kids that belief. And that's what we talked about at halftime. I think our kids have believed all year, but when we can play with all 3 phases of the game working, we're a pretty good football team. I hate to end this thing on a bad note after everything that went on Saturday, but you did get some bad news concerning one of your captains. Trevor Bama left the game on the final drive after he picked up a first down for you. I saw him leave the field kind of flexing that hand, that arm that's been bothering him since last year, and it sounds like that's not real good news. No, I think Trevor's done for the season. He rebroke his right arm where it had been pinned and plated, and he will have to have surgery today or tomorrow, I think, if the swelling has gone down. And too bad for Trevor, man. That guy, he's got a heart of gold. He's our heartbeat. So we'll have to just move forward. Without him, the next guy's got to come up to bat and get a hit. A huge day for him, too, so especially sad news for him. Let's cheer it back up, though, Joe. Sam McLaren, I know, you know, with what happened to him against Western Illinois, he was not with you on the trip, but I understand you involved him at the end of the game. You guys gave him a phone call from the locker room. Could you just tell us about that? Well, yeah, and even before the game, you know, we know that every play could be your last, and it was for Sam, and it was a dedication to him. We all knew what we were doing. I mean, we knew how bad Sam feels and couldn't be there, and we wanted to win this game in a million different ways, but certainly for Sam, and the kids came through. All right, Joe. Well, thanks so much for your time. Congrats on the big win. We are going to hear more from Coach Glenn coming up in a bit, but first, Andre Fields gets his chance to weigh in on the win over North Dakota State. We're going to cover Saturday's storylines next.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
So many great things to talk about after this one, and here to help us close the book on the Coyotes' win over North Dakota State is our own Andre Fields. It's time for Saturday's storylines, and we're going to take them in order this week. After falling behind 14-0, the Coyotes got back in the game with that big second quarter, Andre, and what made it all the more impressive was the fact that NDSU had totally dominated that stanza all season. Bison had outscored their opponents 84-18 in that frame, and while they did get into the end zone just before the half to take a 21-14 lead into the break, the dynamic of the game had completely changed by that point.
Yeah, I think what changed was the confidence of both squads. NDSU went into the half thinking, okay, now we're going to start rolling. We got that score there. USD went into the half saying, hey, we're right in this game. We're in this. We're going to come out and we're going to stop them and get the ball back and see what we can do. I think the confidence was the biggest thing that changed, and obviously it changed in a positive for USD.
All right, well, the Coyote defense bounced back in a big way after that disappointing effort at Western Illinois the week before. You throw out that opening quarter in Fargo, Andre, and this was about as good as we've seen that defense in quite some time. They were especially good in that second half. They held Carson Wentz and the Bison to 91 yards of total offense over the final 2 quarters, and more importantly, they kept them off the scoreboard.
Yeah, and I think that's huge going forward because, hey, last week, kind of an abomination. We kind of thought, well, what kind of defense is this? Is this the team from the first 4 weeks, or is this the team against Western Illinois? They showed in the second half. This is that team from the first 4 weeks. The 4-3 is really rolling right now.
Yeah, it is. Well, Ryan Sager talked a lot last week about his team needing to learn to feed off of each other, while the quarterback certainly did his part down the stretch. He fed off that defense, showed incredible poise, in leading the team to 10 points over the final 12 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he showed incredible poise, as you said. He made the right decision almost every time, all night long. And when that happens and you got guys flying around making their jobs easier, that's when you have points on offense. And they rolled the ball when they needed to. They got the first downs when they needed to. And Ryan was the catalyst of that offense. He really, really stepped up.
He stepped up, and I think he grew up as a quarterback just with that effort all day. I know Chris Kleiman, the head coach at NDSU, was very impressed with the way he managed that game and the way he led that team in the win. All right, now finally, Miles Bergner has struggled in the field goal department this season. Granted, most of his misses have been from 40 yards plus, but that's a position, as you know, that's measured in makes. And Miles had made just 4 of his first 11 attempts on the year, which included that 47-yard miss earlier in the game. But none of it matters now because he hit the big one. And here's what Miles had to say about that after the ballgame.
I was in the mindset that it's time to just give it all and do it for everybody else, not for any myself or anybody that cares about me, but everybody. Just my dad, my family here, my teammates and my coaches, and you know, I put the ball through.
Now, kicking is such a mental thing, Andre, and this is the type of kick that could completely turn Miles' season around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it could completely turn the whole team's season around. And Miles, you know, we have so much faith in his ability that the 4 of 11 was kind of an abomination, but we knew stepping into this one, if he got this through the uprights, hey, this is the type of thing that he could go on from now on and not miss a kick. So you never know.
And it's never been a question about leg power. He's got plenty
absolutely.
of leg. It's just been putting it between the uprights here and there that he missed. Remember, last year he only missed 1 kick all of last season.
And we got spoiled because
we did. And so it was a little more surprising to see him struggle that way. But you're right. Hopefully this is the one that gets it turned around, gets him back on track for the rest of the season. Well, the goal now for Miles and for this football team is to keep that momentum rolling forward. The Coyotes are going to get their chance Saturday against Missouri State. We'll preview the battle with the Bears next.
Coyote Corner on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Well, the win over North Dakota State is certainly on the short list of biggest wins in program history for the Coyotes, but Joe Glenn admits it would definitely lose some of its luster if they're unable to build on it this week against Missouri State.
This got to be a springboard for us to believe. We've got to show up and get after it and do what we do best and get after it from the opening round and put it on them as hard as we can. We cannot take anybody light. We played a heck of a game. Now we got to continue to play like that and keep going forward and get some W's.
The Coyotes will be favored in a league game for the first time in quite some time Saturday. The Bears, who are in full-on rebuilding mode under first-year head coach Dave Steckel, have struggled mightily in 2015. That's especially true on the defensive side of the football, where they're giving up an average of more than 50 points and 550 yards per game.
I think folks have been a little bit taken aback by the yardage and the points that the Bears defense have given up. But it's all part of the process, and Steck is just resolutely staying the course, and he promises long-term gain, but it's been a little bit of short-term pain.
South Dakota 1-2 all-time against Missouri State, with that one win coming at the Dakota Dome in 2013. They'll look to even up the series on Saturday afternoon in a game you'll be able to see live right here on Midco Sports Network, Midco SN2 to be exact. So check your local listings for channel information. Andre Fields and I have the call for you with coverage kicking off at 2 p.m. Well, hoop season is right around the corner, and the Coyotes now know how their peers think they'll stack up against the rest of the Summit League. We'll take a closer look at those preseason expectations after this.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back. Well, the calendar still says October. Make no mistake, another college basketball season is not far away. The Coyote men and women begin play in a little over 3 weeks, and we now know where the Summit League's coaches, SIDs, and media feel they'll finish after last week's release of the conference's preseason polls. Coming off their first Summit League regular season championship, the USD women were picked second behind reigning conference tournament winner South Dakota State, though the margin could not have been much slimmer. Amy Williams' Coyotes were edged by the Jackrabbits for the #1 spot by only 6 total points and 2 first-place votes.
We feel really honored that the coaches in our league and the people that kind of know about what the Summit League is all about would think so highly of us to put us up there in the top 2. But the truth is we put way more weight on where we end in that final poll than we do any of this preseason stuff.
Now, a big reason the league expects more of the same from South Dakota is the return of 3-time All-Conference guard Nicole Seekamp, who was granted a 4th year of eligibility by the NCAA this past spring and enters this winter as the league's preseason player of the year.
I think she has some high expectations with this preseason player of the year pick, but she expects big things out of herself, and that's really why she's really excited to come back for a final 4th year.
Seekamp was joined by fellow seniors Ty Heemiller and Margaret McLeod on the preseason All-Conference team. On the men's side, Craig Smith and the Coyotes were picked to finish 5th after reaching the Summit League Tournament semifinals last March. Yet despite moving up 3 spots from last year's preseason ranking, this USD team is anything but content.
Our goal is every year to be at the top, and so when you're picked smack dab in the middle, we're not where we need to be yet. Just continue talking about getting better and what's our culture and building on that every single day.
Now, the Coyote men open up their season on November 13th with 3 games at the Northern Illinois Showcase in DeKalb, while the women open up that same night in Salt Lake City against Utah. All right, that's going to do it for us for this week. For Alex Heinert, I am Jay Elson. We'll see you back here next Tuesday night for another episode of Coyote Corner.